Act 1 of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dandy Dick, an original farce in 3 acts by Arthur Wing Pinero. Dramatis Personae.
The Very Reverend Augustine Jedd, Doctor of Divinity, Dean of St. Marvel's. Read by Todd.
Sir Tristram Marden, Baronet. Read by Son of the Exiles.
Major Tarver, Blanketh Hussars, quartered at Durnston near St. Marvel. Read by Craig Franklin.
Mr. Darby, Blanketh Hussars, quartered at Durnstone near St. Marvel's. Read by Jason in Panama.
Blore, Butler at the Deanery. Read by Thomas Peter.
Noah Topping, Constable at St. Marvel's. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Atcham,
Sir Tristram's groom.
read by Roger Moline.
Georgiana Tidman, a widow, the Dean's sister. Read by Sonia.
Salome,
The Dean's daughter.
read by Liane Yao.
Sheba,
The Dean's daughter.
read by Devora Allen.
Hannah Topping, formerly in service at the Deanery. Read by Avai.
Stage directions read by Sandra Schmidt. Act 1 at the Deanery, St. Marvel's. Morning. The morning room in the Deanery of St. Marvel's, with a large arched opening leading to the library on the right, and a deeply recessed window opening out to the garden on the left. It is a bright spring morning, and an air of comfort and serenity pervades the place. Salome, a tall, handsome, dark girl of about 23, is sitting with her elbows resting on her knees, staring wildly into vacancy. Sheba, a fair little girl of about 17, wearing short petticoats, shares her despondency, and lies prostrate upon the settee.
Oh my, oh my, oh my!
Sheba, sitting upright.
Oh, my gracious goodness! Goodness gracious me!
They both walk about excitedly.
There's only one terrible word for it. It's a fix!
It's worse than that. It's a scrape. How did you ever get let into it?
How did we get let into it? Halve, Sheba, please.
It was Major Tarver's proposal, and I believe, Salome, that it is to you Major Tarver is paying attention.
The fancy dress masked ball at Durnstone is promoted by the officers of the Hussars. I believe that the young gentleman you have impressed calls himself an officer, though he is merely a lieutenant.
Sheba, indignantly.
Mr. Darby is certainly an officer. A small officer. How dare you gird at me, Salome?
Very well, then. When tonight we appear at the Durnstone Athenaeum, unknown to dear papa, on the arms of Major Tarver and Mr. Darby, I consider that we shall be equally wicked. Oh, how can we be so wrong?
Well, we're not wrong yet. We're only going to be wrong. That's a very different matter.
That's true. Besides, there's this to remember. We're inexperienced girls and have only dear papa. But oh, now that the ball is tonight, I repent, Sheba, I repent.
I shan't do that till tomorrow, but oh, how I shall repent tomorrow.
Salome, taking an envelope from her pocket and almost crying.
You'd repent now if you had seen the account for the fancy dresses.
Has it come in?
Yes, the Major enclosed it to me this morning. You know, Sheba, Major Tarver promised to get the dresses made in London, so I gave him our brown paper patterns to send to the costumier.
Sheba, shocked.
Oh, Salome, do you think he quizzed them?
No, I sealed them up and marked outside, to be opened only by a lady.
That's all right. I hate the plan of myself in brown paper.
Well, of course, Major Tarver begged to be allowed to pay for the dresses, and I said I couldn't dream of permitting it. And then he said he should be most unhappy if he didn't, and just as I thought he was going to have his own way,
bursting into tears.
He cheered up and said he'd yield to a lady.
Taking a large account from the envelope.
And, oh, he's yielded.
Read it. Don't spare me.
Salome, reading.
Debtor to Louis Isaacs, costumier to the Queen, Bow Street. 1 gown, period French Revolution, 1798. 15 guineas?
Sheba, sinking on her knees, clutching the table.
Oh!
Trimmings, linings, buttons, frillings, 7 guineas.
Sheba, hysterically.
Yeah!
That's mine!
Sheba, putting her fingers into her ears.
Now for mine, ooh!
Salome, reading.
1 skirt and bodice, flower girl, period uncertain, 10 guineas.
Less than yours? What a shame!
Trimmings, linings, buttons, frillings, 5 guineas. Extras, 2 guineas. Total, £40.19. Ladies' own brown paper patterns mislaid. Terms, cash.
They throw themselves into each other's arms.
Oh, Sheba!
Salome, are there 40 pounds in the wide world?
My heart weighs 20. What shall we do?
If we were only a few years older, I should suggest that we wrote nice notes to Papa and committed suicide.
Brought up as we have been, that's out of the question.
Then let us be brave women, and wear the dresses.
Of course we'll do that, but the bill!
We must get dear Papa in a good humour, and coax him to make us a present of money. He knows we haven't been charitable in the town for ever so long.
Poor dear Papa. He hasn't paid our proper dressmaker's bill yet, and I'm sure he's pressed for money.
But we can't help that when we're pressed for money. Poor dear Papa.
Suppose poor Papa refuses to give us a present?
Then we must play the piano when he's at work on his concordance. Poor dear Papa.
However, don't let us wrong poor Papa in advance. Let us try to think how nice we shall look.
Oh, yes. Shan't I?
Oh, I shall. And as for stealing out of the house with Major Tarver when poor dear Papa has gone to bed, why, Gerald Tarver would die for me.
So would Nugent Darby for me. Besides, I'm not old enough to know better.
You're not so very much younger than I, Sheba.
Indeed, Salome. Then why do you keep me in short skirts?
Why, you cruel girl. You know I can't lengthen you till I'm married.
Blore, the butler, a venerable-looking person with rather a clerical suggestion about his dress, enters by the window. Benignly.
The 2 soldier gentlemen have just rode up, Miss Salome.
The girls clutch each other's hands.
You mean Major Tarver?
And Mr. Darby. They have called to inquire after poor Papa.
Poor Papa.
Shall I show them in, Miss Sheba?
Yes, Blore dear, and hang your H's on the hat stand.
Blore laughs sweetly at Sheba, and shakes his fingers at her playfully, vindictively, behind their backs.
Hussies.
He goes out.
Am I all right, Sheba?
Yes, am I?
Yes.
Looking out at window.
Here they are. How well Gerald Tarver dismounts. Ah.
He left his liver in India, didn't he?
No, only part of it.
Well, part of it.
And that he gave to his queen, brave fellow.
Sheba, seating herself in an artificial attitude.
Where shall we be? Here?
Salome, running to the piano.
All right. You be admiring my voice.
Oh, I dare say.
Here they are, and we're doing nothing.
Let's run away and then come in unconsciously.
Yes, unconsciously.
They run off through the library. Blore shows in Major Tarver and Mr. Darby, who are both in regimentals. Major Tarver is a middle-aged, tall, angular officer, with a thin face, yellow complexion, and red eyes. He's alternately in a state of great excitement and depression. Mr. Darby is a mere boy, but with a pompous, patronizing manner.
The Dean's out of the way, eh?
Yes, sir, he is.
Eh? How is the Dean? Never mind, perhaps Miss Jed is at home.
Yes, sir, she is.
It would be discourteous to run away without asking Miss Jed after her father.
Darby, throwing himself on the settee.
Deuced bad form.
The ladies were here a minute ago.
Salome and Sheba walk in together. Salome has her arm round her sister's waist and looks up to her with a sweet, trusting smile. They start in confusion on seeing Tarver and Darby.
Major Tarver.
Mr. Darby.
Tarver, taking Salome's hand eagerly.
My dear Miss Jed.
Darby, rising and putting a glass to his eye.
Hi-ya, hi-ya.
Salome, with her hand on her heart.
You quite startled us.
Tarver, in an agony of contrition.
Oh, did we?
Awfully cut up to hear it.
We never dreamt of finding 2 visitors for Papa.
Why, you told me to show the gentleman in, Miss Sheba.
The 2 girls start guiltily and glare at Blore. Salome, with suppressed rage.
You needn't wait, Blore.
Blore to himself.
Let him hang that on the hat stand.
Blore goes out. Darby and Sheba stroll together into the library. Tarver to Salome.
We thought we'd ride over directly after parade to make the final arrangements for tonight. Have the costumes arrived?
Yes, they came yesterday in a hamper labelled Miss Jed, Secretary, Cast-Off Clothing Distribution League.
That was my idea. Came to me in the middle of the night.
Dear Major Tarver, surely this terrible strain on your nerves is very, very bad for you with your...
My liver. Say the word, Miss Jed.
Salome, drooping her head.
Oh, Major Tarver!
It is frightfully injurious. Of course, I'm excited now, and you see me at my best. But the alternating fits of hopeless despondency are shocking to witness and to endure.
Oh!
It's all that damned India. Oh, what have I said? You will never forgive me.
Indeed I will.
Never. Oh, Miss Jed, my forgetfulness has brought me one of my terrible attacks of depression.
Major Tarver!
She leads him to a chair, into which he sinks in a ghastly state. Darby strolls in from the library with Sheba. Darby to Sheba.
Your remarks about the army are extremely complimentary. On behalf of the army, I thank you. We fellows are not a bad sort, take us all round.
There's a grand future before you, isn't there?
Well, I suppose there is if I go on as I'm going now.
Tarver to Salome.
Thanks. The attack has passed. How about tonight? At what time is the house entirely quiet?
Poor dear Papa goes round with Blore at 9:30. After that, all is rest and peacefulness.
Then, if we're here with the closed carriage at 10...
They go together into the library. Darby to Sheba.
Some of us army men can slave too. Tarver's queer liver has thrown all the arrangements for the fancy ball on my shoulders.
Salome and Tarver re-enter.
Look at him. That's when he's enjoying life.
Oh, good, eh, Miss Jed?
But suppose dear Papa should hear us crunching down the gravel path?
Oh.
He sinks onto the settee with a vacant stare, his arms hanging helplessly. Darby to Sheba.
There, now his career is a burden to him.
Oh.
Would you like a glass of water, Major Tarver?
Tarver, taking Salome's hand.
Thank you, dear Miss Jed, with the least suggestion of cayenne pepper in it.
Sheba, looking out at window.
Oh, Salome! Papa! Papa!
The Dean?
The Dean!
They all collect themselves in a fluster. The 2 girls go to meet their father, who enters at the window with his head bowed and his hands behind his back, in deep thought. The Dean is a portly man of about 50, with a dignified demeanour, a suave voice and persuasive manner, and a noble brow surmounted by silver-grey hair. Blore follows the Dean, carrying some books, a small bunch of flowers, and an umbrella. Salome, tenderly.
Papa!
Papsy!
The Dean rouses himself, discovers his children, and removes his hat. The Dean, to Salome.
Salome!
To Sheba.
My toy child.
He draws the girls to him and embraces them, then sees Tarver and Darby.
Dear me, strangers.
Tarver and Darby, coughing uncomfortably. Salome, reproachfully, taking his hat from him.
Papa, Major Tarver and Mr. Darby have ridden over from Durnstone to ask how your cold is.
Sheba takes the gold-rimmed pince-nez which hangs upon the Dean's waistcoat and places it before his eyes.
Dear me, Major, Mr. Garvey.
Mr. Darby.
Darby, how good of you.
With his girls still embracing him, he extends a hand to each of the men.
My cold is better.
Blore goes out to the library.
Major, Mr. Garvey, these inquiries strike me as being so kind that I must insist. No, I beg that you will share our simple dinner with us tonight at 6 o'clock.
Tarver, disconcerted.
Oh.
Let me see. Tuesday night is...
Leg of mutton, Papa.
Thank you. Mutton, hot.
And custards, Papsy.
Thank you, toy child. Custards, cold. And a welcome, warm.
Tarver, looking to Salome. Salome nods her head to him violently.
That is certainly, Dean, certainly.
Delighted, my dear Dean, delighted.
The Dean gives Darby a severe look, and with an important cough he walks into the library. The men and the girls speak in undertones. Tarver, depressed.
Now what will happen tonight?
Why, don't you see? As you will have to drive over to dine, you will both be here, on the spot, ready to take us back to Durnstone.
The Dean sits at his desk in the library.
Of course. When we're turned out, we can hang about in the lane till you're ready.
Yes, but when are we to make our preparations? It'll take me a long time to look like Charles I.
We can drive about Durnstone while you dress.
Salome, to Tarver, admiringly.
Charles I! Oh, Major!
That was my idea. Charles the Martyr, you know. Tarver's a martyr to his liver, see?
Oh, shan't we all look magnificent?
Oh!
Grand idea, the whole thing.
Regular army notion.
They are all in a state of great excitement when the Dean re-enters, with an anxious look, carrying a bundle of papers.
Here is Papa.
They rush to various seats, all in constrained attitudes. Tarver, to the Dean.
We waited to say good morning.
The Dean, taking his hand abstractedly.
How kind. Good morning.
6 o'clock sharp, Dean?
At 6 punctually. Salome, represent me by escorting these gentlemen to the gate.
Salome, Tarver and Darby go out. Sheba is following slyly when the Dean looks up from his papers.
Sheba?
Papsy?
Check me in a growing tendency to dislike Mr. Garvey. At dinner, Sheba, watch that I carve for him fairly.
Yes, Papsy.
The Dean turns away and sits on the settee. Sheba, with her head down and her hands folded, walks towards the door, and then bounds out. The Dean, turning the papers over in his hand, solemnly.
Bills.
He rises, walks thoughtfully to a chair, sits, and examines papers again.
Bills.
He rises again, walks to another chair, and sinks into it with a groan.
Bills.
Salome and Sheba re-enter. Salome, to Sheba in a whisper.
Papa's alone.
A beautiful opportunity to ask for that little present of money. Poor dear Papa. Poor dear Papa.
They link their hands together and walk as if going out through the library. The Dean, looking up.
Don't go, children.
He rises. The girls rush to him, and laughing with joy, they turn him like a top, dancing around him.
Stop, children.
Papsy's in a good humor.
Salome, pinching his chin.
He always is.
Perhaps he will listen to our little wants.
They force him into a chair. Salome sits on the ground, embracing his legs. Sheba lies on the top of the table.
Oh dear! Your wants are very little ones. What are they, Salome? What are they, toy child?
Papa, have you any spare cash?
Spare cash? Playful Salome.
Pounds, shillings, and pence, Pepsy. Or pounds, shillings, Pepsy, and never mind the pence.
Ha ha! I am glad, really glad, children, that you have broken through a reserve which has existed on this point for at least a fortnight, and babbled for money.
Sheba and Salome laughing with delight.
It gives me the opportunity of meeting your demands with candor. Children, I have love for you, solicitude for you, but I have no spare cash for anybody.
He rises and walks gloomily across to the piano, on the top of which he commences to arrange his bills. In horror, Salome scrambles up from the floor, and Sheba wriggles off the table. Simultaneously, they drop onto the same chair and huddle together. Salome to herself.
Lost.
Sheba to herself.
Done for.
And now you have so cheerily opened the subject, let me tell you with equal good humor,
emphatically flourishing the bills,
that this sort of thing must be put a stop to. Your dressmaker's bills is shocking. Your milliner gives an analytical record of the feverish beatings of the hot pulse of fashion. Your general draper blows a rancorous blast which would bring dismay to the stoutest heart. Let me for once peal out a deep paternal bass to your childish treble, and say emphatically, I've had enough of it.
He paces up and down. The two girls utter a loud yell of grief.
Ugh!
Sheba, through her tears.
We've been brought up as young ladies. That can't be done for nothing.
Sheba's small, but she cuts into a lot of material.
My girls, it is such unbosomings as this which preserve the domestic union of a family. Weep, howl, but listen. The total of these weeds which bring up in the beautiful garden of paternity is 156,18,3. Now, all the money I can immediately command is considerably under £500.
Oh, Papa!
Oh, what a lot!
Hush! But read, Salome. Read aloud this paragraph in The Times of yesterday. There, my child.
He hands a copy of The Times to Salome, with his finger upon a paragraph. Salome, reading.
A munificent offer. Dr. Jedd, the Dean of St. Marvel's, whose anxiety for the preservation of the minister spire threatens to undermine his health, has subscribed a munificent sum of £1,000 to the Restoration Fund. Oh!
Oh, and we gasping for clothing.
Read on, my child.
On condition that 7 other donors come forward, each with the like sum. And will they?
The Dean anxiously.
My darling, times are bad, but one never knows.
If they don't?
Then you will have your new summer dresses as usual.
Salome, hoarsely.
But if they do, speak, father.
The Dean, gloomily.
Then we will all rejoice.
Rejoice.
And retrench. 2 R's, little ones. Retrench and rejoice.
The two girls cling to each other as Blore comes from the library with 2 letters on a salver.
The second post, sir. Just in.
The Dean, blandly.
Thank you.
Blore, hearing Salome and Sheba crying.
They've had a scolding, hussies. Let 'em hang that on the ad stand.
He's going out. The Dean, opening letters.
Oh, Blore. This note from Mr. Hodder, the secretary of the Sport and Relaxation Repression Guild, reminds me that tomorrow is the first day of the races. The St. Marvel's Spring Meeting, as it is called.
Indeed, sir. Fancy that. And I not know it.
All our servants may not resemble you, Blore. Pray remind them in the kitchen and the stable of the rule of the house.
No servant allowed to leave the deanery on any pretence while the races is on.
The Dean, kindly,
While the races are on. Thank you, Blore.
opens his second letter.
Thank you, sir.
To himself.
Oh, if the Dean only knew the good thing I could put him on to for the Durnstone handicap.
He goes out.
Children, Salome, Sheba, here is good news.
Salome running to him.
Good news!
What is it?
Your aunt.
Left us some money?
Your aunt is coming to live with us.
To what?
To live with us? What aunt?
My dear widowed sister, Georgiana Tidman.
What's she like?
We don't want her.
Good gracious! Georgiana and I reconciled after all these years. She will help us to keep the expenses down.
Keep the expenses down.
The Dean, embracing his daughters.
A second mother to my girls. She will implant the precepts of retrenchment if their father cannot.
But, Papa, who is Aunt What's-her-name?
Who is she?
My dears, a mournful, miserable history.
With his head bent, he walks to a chair and holds out his hands to the girls, who go to him and kneel at his feet.
When you were infants, your Aunt Georgiana married an individual whose existence I feel it my sad duty never to recognize.
A bad man?
He died 10 years ago, and therefore, we shall say, a misguided man. He was a person who bred horses to run in races for amusement, combined with profit. He was also what is called a gentleman jockey, and it was your aunt's wifely boast that if ever he vexed her, she could take a stone off his weight in half an hour. In due course his neck was dislocated.
By aunt?
Hush, child, no. You will be little wiser when I tell you he came a cropper.
How awful it all sounds.
Left a widow, you would think it natural that Georgiana Tidman would have flown to her brother, himself a widower. Not at all. Maddened, I hope, by grief, she continued the career of her misguided husband, and for years, to use her own terrible words, she was the daisy of the turf.
What's that?
I don't know, toy child. But at length retribution came. Ill luck fell upon her. Her horses, stocks, everything, came to the hammer. That was my hour. Come to me, I wrote. My children yearn for you.
Sheba and Salome, with wry faces.
Oh.
At the deanery of St. Marvel's, with the cares of a household and a stable which contains only a 13-year-old pony, you may obtain rest and forgetfulness. And she is coming.
When? Oh, when?
She merely says, soon.
Sheba and Salome, stamping with vexation.
Ugh!
Salome, Sheba, you will, I fear, find her a sad, broken creature, a weary fragment, a wave-tossed derelict. Let it be your patient endeavor to win back a flickering smile to the wan features of this chastened widow.
Blore enters with a telegram.
A telegram, sir.
The Dean opens telegram.
No Aunt Tidman flickers a smile at me.
I wouldn't be in her shoes for something.
Salt in her bed, Salome.
Yes, and a peg out of the rattling window.
They grip hands earnestly.
Good gracious! Bless me! Girls, your Aunt Georgiana slept at the wheat sheaf at Durnston last night, and is coming on this morning.
Today?
Blore, tell Willis to get the chaise out.
Blore hurries out.
Salome, child, you and I will drive into Durnston. We may be in time to bring your aunt over. My hat, Sheba, quick!
The clang of the gate bell is heard in the distance.
The bell!
Looking out of window.
No. Yes. It can't be. Children, I wonder if this is your Aunt Georgiana.
Blore appears with a half-frightened, surprised look.
Mrs. Tidman.
Georgiana Tidman enters. She's a jovial, noisy woman, very horsey in manners and appearance, and dressed in pronounced masculine style, with billycock hat and coaching coat. The girls cling to each other. The Dean recoils.
Well, Gus, my boy, how are you?
The Dean, shocked.
Georgiana!
Georgiana, patting the Dean's cheeks.
You're putting on too much flesh, Augustine. They should give you a 10-miler daily in a blanket.
The Dean, with dignity.
My dear sister!
Are these your 2-year-olds?
To Salome.
Kiss your aunt.
She kisses Salome with a good, hearty smack. To Sheba.
Kiss your aunt.
She embraces Sheba, then stands between the two girls and surveys them critically, touching them alternately with the end of her cane.
Lord bless you both. What names do you run under?
I am Salome.
I am Sheba.
Georgiana, looking at Sheba.
Why, little un, your stable companion could give you a stone and then get her nose in front.
The Dean, who has been impatiently fuming.
Georgiana, I fear these poor innocents don't follow your well-intentioned but inappropriate illustrations.
Oh, we'll soon wake 'em up. Well, Augustine, my boy, it's nearly 20 years since you and I munched our corn together.
Our estrangement has been painfully prolonged.
Since then we've both run many races, though we've never met in the same events. The world has ridden us both pretty hard at times, Gus, hasn't it? We've been punished and pulled and let down pretty often, but here we are.
Tapping him sharply in the chest with her cane.
Sound in the wind yet. You're doing well, Gus, and they say you're going up the hill neck and neck with your bishop. I've dropped out of it. The mares don't last, Gus. And it's good and kind of you to give me a dry stable and a clean litter, and to keep me out of the shafts of a Shrewsbury and Talbot.
Sheba, in a whisper to Salome.
Salome, I don't quite understand her, but I like Aunt.
So do I. But she's not my idea of a wary fragment or a chastened widow.
My dear Georgiana, I rejoice that you meet me in this affectionate spirit, and when, pardon me, when you have a little caught the tone of the deanery.
Oh, I'll catch it. If I don't, the deanery will a little catch my tone. The same thing.
Sheba laughs.
Toy child.
Oh, trust George Tidd for setting things quite square in a palace or a puddle.
George Tidd? Who is George Tidd?
I am George Tidd. That was my racing name. Ask after George Tidd at Newmarket. They'll tell you all about me. My colours were crimson and black diamond. There you are.
Producing her pocket handkerchief, which is crimson and black.
Dear me, very interesting. Georgiana, my dear. One moment, children.
The girls go into the library. The Dean, tapping the handkerchief.
I understand distinctly from your letter that all this is finally abandoned?
Oh, worse luck. They'll never see my colours at the post again.
And the contemplation of sport generally as a mental distraction?
Oh, yes. I dare say you'll manage to wean me from that too. In time.
In time? Well, but, Georgiana.
The gate bell is heard again. The girls re-enter.
There's a visitor. I'll tootle upstairs and have a groom down.
To Salome and Sheba.
Make the running, girls. At what time do we feed, Augustine?
There is luncheon at 1 o'clock.
Right. The air here is so fresh, I shan't be sorry to get my nose bag on.
She stalks out, accompanied by the girls.
My dear Georgiana, my widowed sister Georgiana. Dear me, I am quite disturbed. Surely the serene atmosphere of the deanery will work a change. It must! It must! If not, what a grave mistake I have made. Good gracious! No, I won't think of it. Still, it is a little unfortunate that poor Georgiana should arrive here on the very eve of those terrible races at St. Marvel's.
Blore enters with a card.
Who is it, Blore?
Reading the card.
Sir Tristram Marden. Dear! Certainly, Blore, certainly.
Blore goes out.
Marden. Why, Marden and I haven't met since Oxford.
Blore re-enters, showing in Sir Tristram Marden, a well-preserved man of about 50, with a ruddy face and jovial manner, the type of the thorough English sporting gentleman. Blore goes out.
Hello, Jed, how are you?
My dear Marden, are we boys again?
Sir Tristram, boisterously.
Of course we are, boys again.
He hits the Dean violently in the chest. The Dean, breathing heavily, to himself.
I quite forgot how rough Marden used to be, how it all comes back to me.
Think I've changed?
Only in appearance.
I'm still a bachelor. Got terribly jilted by a woman years ago, and have run in blinkers ever since. Can't be helped, can it? You're married, aren't you?
I have been a widower for 15 years.
Oh, Lord, awfully sorry. Can't be helped, though, can it?
Seizing the Dean's hand and squeezing it.
Forgive me, old chap.
The Dean, withdrawing his hand with pain.
Oh.
I've reopened an old wound. Damn stupid of me.
Hush, Marden, please.
All right. What do you think I'm down here for?
For the benefit of your health, Marden?
Never had an ache in my life. Shan't come and hear you preach next Sunday, Gus.
I do not preach next Sunday.
You'd better not. No, I'm here for the races.
The race? Hush, my dear Marden. My girls.
Girls? May I trot 'em into the paddock tomorrow?
Thank you, no.
Think it over. You've seen the list of starters for the Durnstone Handicap?
No, I haven't.
Not? Look here, Sir Tristram Marden's dandy deck. 9 stone 2 Tom Gallowwood up. What do you think of that?
I don't think of anything like that.
Sir Tristram, digging the Dean in the ribs.
Look out for my colours. Black and white, and a pink cap. First past the post tomorrow.
Really, my dear Marden.
Good heavens, Jed. They talk about Bonnie Betsy.
I grieve to hear it. The tongue of scandal.
Sir Tristram, taking the Dean's arm and walking him about.
Can you imagine, sir, for one moment, that Bonnie Betsy with a boy on her back could get down that hill tomorrow with those legs of hers?
Another horse, I presume?
No, a bay mare. George Tidd knew what she was about when she stuck to Dandy Dick to the very last.
The Dean, aghast.
George Tidd?
Georgiana Tidman. Dandy came out of her stable after she smashed.
Bless me.
Poor old George. I wonder what's become of her.
My dear Marden, I am, of course, heartily pleased to revive in this way your old acquaintance. I wish it were in my power to offer you the hospitality of the Deanery, but—
Don't name it. My horse and I are over at the Swan. Come and look at Dandy Dick.
Marden, you don't understand. My position in St. Marvel's—
Oh, I see, Jed. I beg your pardon. You mean that the colours you ride in don't show up well on the hill yonder, or in the stable of the Swan Inn?
You must remember—
I remember that in your young days you made the heaviest book on the Derby of any of our fellows.
I always lost, Marden. Indeed, I always lost.
I remember that you once matched a mare of your own against another of Lord Bexlade's for £50.
But she wasn't in it, Marden. I mean, she was dreadfully beaten.
Sir Tristram, shaking his head sorrowfully.
Oh, Jed, Jed. Other times, other manners. Goodbye, old boy.
You're not offended, Marden?
Sir Tristram, taking the Dean's hand.
Offended? No, only sorry, Dean, damned sorry, to see a promising lad come to an end like this?
Georgiana enters with Salome on one side of her and Sheba on the other, all three laughing and chatting, apparently the best of friends.
By Jove! No! What? Tid!
Hello, Marden.
They shake hands warmly.
Of all places in the world to find Mr. Tid. Why, Dean, you've been chaffing me, have you?
No.
Yes, you have. You've been roasting your old friend.
Martin.
Tid is a pal of yours, eh?
Sir Tristram Marden, Mrs. Tidman is my sister.
Your sister?
Yes, I've been running a bit dark, Marden, but that stout, well-seasoned animal over there and this skittish creature come of the same stock and were foaled in the same stable.
Pointing to Salome and Sheba.
There are a couple of yearlings here you don't know. My nieces, Salome and Sheba.
Sir Tristram, bowing.
How do you do?
Heartily taking Georgiana's hand again.
Well, I don't care whose sister you are, but I'm jolly glad to see you, George, my boy.
Gracious, Tris, don't squeeze my hand so.
The Dean, in horror.
Salome, Sheba, children, I must speak to you. Excuse me, Marden.
To himself.
Oh, what shall I do with my widowed sister?
He goes into the garden. Sheba to Salome.
That's like Pa, just as we were getting interested.
We'll come back in a minute.
They go out by the window.
Lord! How odd! You know your brother and I were at Oxford together, George?
Were you, Tris? Then are you putting up here?
He won't have me.
Won't have you?
Because I'm down here racing. You see, he's a dean.
Is he? Well then, you just lay 1,000 sovereigns to a gooseberry that in this house I'm a dean too.
I suppose he's thinking of the canons, and the bishop, and those chaps.
Lord bless your heart, they're all right when you cheer them up a bit. If I'm here till the autumn meeting, you'll find me lunching on the hill, with the canons marking my cart, and the dear old bishop mixing the salad. So say the word, Tris. I'll make it all right with Augustine.
No, thanks, old fellow. The fact is that I'm fixed at the Swan with... What do you think, George? With Dandy Dick.
Oh, my old dandy.
I brought him down with me in Lavender. You know he runs for the Durnstone Handicap tomorrow.
No, there's precious little that horse does that I don't know, and what I don't know I dream. Is he fit?
As a fiddle. Shines like a mirror. Not an ounce too much or too little. He'll romp in.
He'll dance in, Tris Marden.
Eh?
Georgiana, mysteriously.
Tris, Dandy Dick doesn't belong to you. Not all of him.
No, I've only a half share. At your sale he was knocked down to John Fielder the trainer. The other half belongs to John.
No, it doesn't. It belongs to me.
George!
Yes. Directly I saw Dandy Dick marched out before the auctioneer, I asked John Fielder to help me, and he did like a Briton. For I can't live without horseflesh, if it's only a piece of cat's meat on a skewer. But when I condescended to keep company with the canons and the bishop here, I promised Augustine that I wouldn't own anything on 4 legs. So John sold you half of Dick, and I can swear I don't own a horse. And I don't. Not a whole one. But half a horse is better than no bread, Tris. And we're partners. What are you laughing at, man?
Oh, the Dean! The Dean!
Salome and Sheba enter unperceived.
I beg your pardon, George. Well, now you know he's fit, of course. You're going to back Dandy Dick for the Durnstone handicap.
Back him? For every penny I've got in the world. That isn't much, but if I'm not a richer woman by £1,000 tomorrow night, I shall have had a bad day.
Oh, Sheba!
The girls come towards the library. Georgiana, discovering them,
Hush.
to the girls.
Hello.
It's only us, Aunt.
The girls go into the library.
I'll be off.
Keep your eye on the old horse, Tristram.
Don't fear. Good morning, George.
Good morning, partner. Oh, do be quiet.
Say goodbye for me to the Dane.
She gives him a push, and he goes out. Sheba and Salome immediately re-enter from the library.
Aunt, dear Aunt.
Well, girls.
Aunt, Salome has something to say to you.
No, it's Sheba.
Why, you're shivering all over.
Catching hold of Sheba.
Hello, little un.
Aunt, dear Aunt Georgiana, we heard you say something about £1,000.
You've been listening.
No, we only merely heard. And oh, Aunt, £1,000 is such a lot, and we poor girls want such a little.
Money?
Yes, Salome has rather got into debt.
My gracious!
I haven't any more than you have, Sheba.
Well, I'm in debt too, but I only meant to beg for Salome. But now I ask for both of us. Oh, Aunt Tidman, Papa has told us that you have known troubles.
Ah, so I have. Heaps of them.
Oh, I'm so glad, because Salome and I are weary fragments too. We're everything awful but chastened widows. We owe £40 unknown to Pa.
£40.19.
Why, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves, you girls.
We are.
We are.
To cry and go on like this about £40.
But we've only got 15 and threepence of our own in the world. And oh, Aunt, you know something about the races, don't you?
Eh?
If you do, help two poor creatures to win £40.19. Aunt Georgiana, what's Dandy Dick you were talking to that gentleman about?
Child, Dandy Dick's a horse.
We thought so. Then let Dandy Dick win us some money.
No, no, I won't hear of it.
Oh, do, do.
Oh, do.
Go away, I won't. I say decidedly, I will not.
Oh, do.
Do, and we'll love you for ever and ever, Aunt Georgiana.
You will.
She embraces them heartily.
Bless your little innocent faces. Do you want to win £40?
Yes.
Do you want to win £50?
Oh, yes.
Taking her betting book from her pocket.
Very well. Then put your very petticoats on Dandy Dick.
The girls stand clutching their skirts, frightened.
Oh!
End of the first act. Act 2 of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. The same place. Evening. The morning room at the deanery, with the fire and the lamps lighted. It is after dinner. Sheba is playing the piano, Salome lolling upon the settee, and Georgiana pouring out tea. They are in evening dress.
Sugar, Sally? I call you Sally, Salome. The evening's too short for your name.
All right, Aunt George. 2 lumps, please.
Georgiana to Sheba.
Little un?
2 lumps, and 1 in the saucer, to eat.
Quite a relief to shake off the gentleman, isn't it?
Do you think so, Aunt?
Oh, I don't think so.
Now I understand why my foot was always in the way under the dinner table.
She holds out 2 cups, which the girls take from her.
I thought the dinner was an overwhelming success.
All our dinners are at the deanery.
Awfully jolly. Mutton was overdone.
That's our new cook's one failing.
But the potatoes weren't. They rattled.
Cook never can manage potatoes.
What was wrong with the custards?
Well, it was cook's first attempt at custards.
However, they served one useful end. Now we know the chimney wants sweeping.
But it was a frightfully jolly dinner. Take it all round.
Yes, take it all round. One has to take things all round.
What made us all so sad and silent, taking us all round?
Dear Papa was as lively as an owl with neuralgia.
Major Tarver isn't a conversational cracker.
Gerald Tarver has no liver, to speak of.
He might have spoken about his lungs or something, to cheer us up.
I fancy Mr. Darby was about to make a witty remark once.
Yes, and then the servant handed him a dish, and he shied at it. So we lost that.
Still, we ought to congratulate ourselves upon a
frightfully jolly dinner.
Taking her betting book from her pocket.
Excuse me, girls, I've some figures to work out. If Dandy Dick hasn't fared better at the Swan than we have at the Deanery, he won't be in the first 3.
Reckoning.
Let me see.
Salome to Sheba.
All settled, Sheba, isn't it?
Yes, everything. Directly the house is silent, we let ourselves out at the front door.
How do we get in again?
By this window. It has a patent safety fastening, so it can be opened with a hairpin.
We're courageous girls, aren't we?
Yes, I don't consider we're ordinary young ladies at all.
If we had known Aunt a little longer, we might have confided in her and taken her with us.
Poor Aunt. We mustn't spoil her.
Darby, speaking outside.
I venture to differ with you, my dear Dean.
Oh, here come the waxworks.
She joins the girls as Darby enters through the library, patronizing the dean, who accompanies him.
Ha! I've just been putting the dean right about a little army question, Mrs. I can't catch your name.
Don't try. You'd come out in spots, like measles.
Darby stands by her blankly, then attempts a conversation. The dean, to Salome and Sheba.
Children, it is useless to battle against it much longer.
Against what, Papa?
A feeling of positive distaste for Mr. Darby.
Oh, Papsy, think what Wellington was at his age.
Major Tarver enters, pale and haggard. Salome meets him.
Major!
Oh.
Not well again?
Indigestion. I'm always like this after dinner.
But what would you do if the trumpet summoned you to battle?
Oh, I suppose I should pack up a few charcoal biscuits and toddle out, you know.
Georgiana to Darby.
I've never studied the Army Guide.
You're thinking of...
The Turf Guide, beg pardon. I mean, the army keeps a string of trained nurses, doesn't it?
There are army nurses.
Certainly. I was wondering whether your colonel will send one with a perambulator to fetch you at about 8:30.
She leaves Darby and goes to the dean. Sheba joins Darby at the piano.
Well, Gus, my boy, you seem out of condition.
I'm rather anxious for the post to bring today's Times. You know I've offered £1,000 to our Restoration Fund.
What?
Hush, I'll tell you.
They talk in undertones. Blore enters to remove the tea tray. Tarver, jumping up excitedly, to Salome.
Hey, oh, certainly, delighted.
Singing to himself.
Come into the garden, Maud, for the black bat.
Now you yourself again.
I'm always dreadfully excited when I'm asked to sing. It's as good as a carbonate of soda lozenge to me to be asked to sing.
To Blore.
My music is in my overcoat pocket.
Blore crosses to the door.
And Mr. Darby has brought his violin.
Tarver, in a rage, glaring at Darby.
Ah, there now.
Darby to Blore.
You'll find it in the hall.
Blore goes out. The Dean dozes in a chair. Salome and Sheba talk to Georgiana at the table. Tarver to himself.
He always presumes with his confounded fiddle when I'm going to entertain. He knows that his fiddle's never hoarse, and that I am, sometimes.
Darby to himself.
Tarver always tries to cut me out with his elderly chest C. He ought to put it on the retired list.
Well, I'll sing him off his legs tonight. I'm in lovely voice.
He walks into the library and is heard trying his voice, singing Come into the garden, Maud. Darby to himself.
He needn't bother himself. While he was dozing in the carriage, I threw his music out of the window.
Tarver re-enters triumphantly. Blore re-enters, carrying a violin case and a leather music roll. Darby takes the violin case, opens it, and produces his violin and music. Blore hands the music roll to Tarver and goes out. Tarver, to Salome, trembling with excitement.
My tones are like a beautiful bell this evening. I'm so glad for all our sakes.
As he takes the leather music roll from Blore.
Thank you, that's it.
What will you begin with?
Coming to the garden, Maud. I've begun with coming to the garden, Maud, for years and years.
He opens the music roll. It is empty.
Oh, it's Jed. I've forgotten my music.
Oh, Major Tarver.
Oh.
Tarver, with a groan of despair, sinks onto the settee.
Never mind. Mr. Darby will play.
Darby, tuning his violin.
Will you accompany me?
Sheba, raising her eyes.
To the end of the world.
She sits at the piano.
My mother says that my bowing is something like Joachim's, and she ought to know.
Why?
Oh, because she's heard Joachim.
Darby plays, and Sheba accompanies him. Salome sits beside Tarver. Georgiana to herself.
Well, after all, George, my boy, you're not stabled in such a bad box. Here is a regular, pure, simple English evening at home.
The Dean, mumbling to himself.
£1,000 to the Restoration Fund, and all those bills to settle. Oh dear, oh dear, what shall I do?
Salome to herself.
I hope my ball dress will drive all the other women mad.
Tarver to himself, glaring at Darby.
I feel I should like to garrote him with his best string.
Georgiana, frowning at her betting book.
I think I shall hedge a bit over the Crumbly Stakes.
Darby, as he plays, glancing at Tarver.
I wonder how old Tarver's chest C likes a holiday.
Sheba, as she plays.
We must get Pa to bed early. Dear Papa's always so dreadfully in the way.
Georgiana, looking around.
No, there's nothing like it in any other country. A regular, pure, simple English evening at home.
Blore enters quickly, cutting the Times with a paper knife as he enters.
The paper's just arrived.
The music stops abruptly. All the ladies glare at Blore and hush him down.
Shh!
The Dean, taking the paper from Blore.
This is my fault. There may be something in the Times of special interest to me. Thank you, Blore.
Blore goes out.
Ha ha ha! Spoils his pianissimo.
The Dean, scanning the paper.
Oh, I can't believe it.
What's the matter?
Papa?
The Dean?
The Dean.
Children, Georgiana, friends, my magnificent offer has produced the desired result.
Oh.
7 wealthy people, including 3 brewers, have come forward with £1,000 apiece in aid of the restoration of the Minster spire.
That means a cool 1,000 out of your pocket, Gus.
Yes.
Reading.
The anxiety to which the Dean of St. Marvel's has so long been a victim will now doubtless be relieved.
With his hand to his head.
I suppose I shall feel the relief tomorrow.
What's wrong with the spire? Nobody sleeps in it.
It is a little out of repair, but hardly sufficiently so as to warrant the presumptuous interference of 3 brewers. Excuse me, I think I'll enjoy the fresh air for a moment.
He goes to the window and draws back the curtains. A bright red glare is seen in the sky.
Bless me, look there!
Oh, what's that?
It's a conflagration!
Salome clinging to Tava.
Where is it? Are we safe?
Sheba clinging to Darby.
Where is it? Are we safe?
Where is it?
Blore enters with a scared look. The Dean to Blore.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Where is it?
The old Swan Inn's afire.
The gate bell is heard ringing violently in the distance. Blore goes out. Georgiana uttering a loud screech.
The Swan Inn. You girls, get me a hat and coat. Somebody fetch me a pair of boots.
Salome, Sheba and Tava go to the window.
Georgiana!
Don't talk to me.
To Tava.
Lend me your boots.
I daren't, if I once got cold extremities.
She's going. The Dean stops her.
Respect yourself, Georgiana. Where are you going?
Going? I'm going to help clear the stables at the Swan.
Remember what you are. My sister. A lady.
I'm not. George Tidd's a man. Every inch of her.
Sir Tristram rushes in breathlessly. Georgiana rushes at him and clutches his coat.
Tris Marden, speak.
Sir Tristram, exhausted.
Oh!
The horse? The horse! You've got him out?
You're safe and sound.
Safe and sound. That old horse has backed himself to win the handicap.
She sinks into a chair. Tava and Darby, with Salome and Sheba, stand looking out of the window.
George, his tail is singed a bit.
The less weight for him to carry tomorrow. Oh, dear old dandy. He never was much to look at.
The worst of it is the fools threw 2 pails of cold water over him to put it out.
Oh, that's done him.
Now, my dear Georgiana, what is a horse?
A living example to a dean.
The Dean goes distractedly into the library.
Where is the animal?
My man Hatcham is running him up and down the lane here to try to get him warm again.
Where are you going to put the homeless beast up now?
I don't know.
Georgiana, starting up.
I do, though.
Madwoman, what are you going to do?
Bring Dandy Dick into our stables.
No, no!
The very place.
Georgiana, pray consider me.
So I will, when you've had 2 pails of water thrown over you.
The Dean walks about in despair.
Marden, I appeal to you.
Oh, Dean, I'm ashamed of you.
Georgiana to Sir Tristram.
Are you ready?
Sir Tristram takes off his coat and throws it over Georgiana's shoulders.
George, you're a brick.
A brick, am I?
Quietly to him.
One partner pulls Dandy out of the Swan, the other leads Dandy into the deanery. Quits, my lad.
They go out together.
What is happening to me? It will be in all the sporting papers. Sir Tristram Marden's Dandy Dick reflected great credit upon the deanery stables. The sporting dean!
He walks into the library, where he sinks into a chair, as Salome, Tava, Darby and Sheba come from the window.
They're getting the flames under. If I had had my goloshes with me, I should have been here, there, and everywhere.
Where there's a crowd of civilians, the military exercise a wide discretion in restraining themselves.
Sheba, to Tava and Darby.
You had better go now. Then we'll get the house quiet as soon as possible. Poor Papa looks worried. Poor Papa.
We will wait with the carriage in the lane.
Yes, yes.
Calling.
Papa, Major Tarver and Mr. Darby must go.
She rings the bell. The Dean comes from the library.
Dear me, I'm very remiss.
Tava, shaking hands.
Most fascinating evening.
Darby, shaking hands.
Charming, my dear Dean.
Blore enters.
Major Tarver's carriage.
At the gate, Miss Salome.
Don't risk the cold, Papa.
Blore goes out, followed by Sheba, Salome, and Tarver. Darby is going when he returns to the Dean.
By the by, my dear Dean, come over and see me. We ought to know more of each other. Say Monday.
The Dean, restraining his anger.
I will not say Monday.
Any time you like. Oh, and I say, let me know when you preach, and I'll get some of our fellows to give their patronage.
He goes out. The Dean, closing the door after him with a bang.
Another moment, and I fear I should have been violently rude to him, a guest under my roof.
He walks up to the fireplace and stands looking into the fire, as Darby, having forgotten his violin, returns to the room.
Oh, Blore, now understand me. If that Mr. Darby ever again presumes to present himself at the deanery, I will not see him.
Darby, with his violin in his hand, haughtily,
I've come back for my violin,
goes out with dignity. The Dean, horrified.
Oh, Mr. Darby. Hear an explanation, Mr. Darby.
He runs out after Darby. Georgiana and Sir Tristram enter by the window.
Oh, don't be down, Tris, my boy. Cheer up, lad. He'll be fit yet, bar a chill. He knew me. He knew me when I kissed his dear old nose.
He'd be a fool of a horse if he didn't feel deuced flattered at that.
He's no fool. He knows he's in the deanery, too. Did you see him cast up his eyes and lay his ears back when I let him in?
Oh, George, it's such a pity about his tail.
Georgiana, cheerily.
Ah, not it. You watch his head tomorrow. That'll come in first.
Hatcham, a groom, looks in at the window.
Are you there, sir?
What is it?
I just run round to tell you that Dandy is a-feedin' as steady as a baby with a bottle.
Don't you close your eyes all night.
Not me, Mum. And I've got hold of the constable here, Mr. Topping. He's going to sit up with me, for company's sake.
The constable?
Yes, Sir Tristram.
Coming forward mysteriously.
Why, bless you and the lady, sir. Supposin' the fire at the Swan weren't no accident.
Eh?
Supposin' it were incendiarism, and supposin' our 'orse was the object.
Good gracious!
That's why I ain't going to watch single-handed.
Get back, then. Get back!
Sir Tristram and Georgiana pace up and down excitedly.
Right, sir. There's only one mortal fear I've got about our Dandy.
What's that?
He hasn't found out about his tail yet, sir. And when he does, it'll fret him, as sure as my name's Bob Hatcham.
Keep the stable pitch dark. He mayn't notice it.
Not tonight, sir, but he's a proud horse, and what'll he think of hisself on the 'ill tomorrow? You and me and the lady, sir, it'd be different with us, but how's our Dandy to hide his bereavement?
Hatcham goes out of the window with Sir Tristram as the Dean enters, followed by Blore, who carries a lighted lantern. The Dean, looking reproachfully at Georgiana.
You have returned, Georgiana?
Yes, thank you.
And that animal?
In our stables, safe and snug.
Oh.
You can sleep tonight with the happy consciousness of having sheltered the outcast.
We're locking up now. The poor children, exhausted with the alarm, beg me to say good night for them. The fire is quite extinguished?
Yes, sir. But I hear they've just sent into Durnston, asking for the military to watch the ruins in case of another outbreak. It'll stop the wicked ball at the Athenaeum, it will.
Drawing the window curtains, Sir Tristram, having re-entered.
I suppose you want to see the last of me, Jed?
Marden.
Don't be unkind, Tris. Where shall we stow the dear old chap, Gus, my boy?
Where shall we stow the dear old chap? I really don't know.
Let me see. We don't want to pitch you out of your loft if we can help it, Gus.
No, no, we won't do that.
Don't consider me in this manner. But there's Sheba's little cot still standing in the old nursery.
Just the thing for me, the old nursery.
The old nursery. Toys to play with if you wake early.
The Dean, looking round.
Is there anyone else before we lock up?
Blore has fastened the window and drawn the curtain.
Put Sir Tristram to bed carefully in the nursery, Blore.
Sir Tristram, grasping the Dean's hand.
Good night, old boy. I'm too done for a hand of piquet tonight.
I never play cards.
Sir Tristram, slapping him on the back.
I'll teach you during my stay at the deanery.
The Dean, helplessly to himself.
Then he's staying with me.
Good night, George.
Good night, partner. Heaven bless the little innocent in his cot.
Sir Tristram goes out with Blore. Georgiana, calling after him.
Tris, you may take your pipe up with you. We smoke all over the deanery.
The Dean, to himself.
I never smoke. Does she?
Georgiana closes the door, humming a tune merrily.
Tra-la-la-la-la. Now, Mr. Tid, we'll toddle. Ta-da-ta-da.
She stops, looking at the Dean, who is muttering to himself.
Gus, I don't like your looks. I shall let the vet see you in the morning. What's wrong with you?
The Dean shakes his head mournfully and sinks on the settee.
Money?
There are bills, which, at a more convenient time, it will be my grateful duty to discharge.
And you're short.
Short?
Stumped, out of coin. Run low. What'll square the bills?
Very little would settle the bills, but...
I know, the spire. Why, Gus, you haven't got that 1,000.
There is a very large number of estimable worthy men who do not possess 1,000 pounds. With that number I have the mournful pleasure of enrolling myself.
When's the settling day?
Eh?
When will you have to fork out?
Unless the restoration is immediately commenced, the spire will certainly crumble.
Then it's a match between you and the spire which parts first. Gus, will you let your little sister lend you a hand?
My dear Georgiana, impossible.
No, no, not out of my own pocket. Come here.
She takes his arm and whispers in his ear.
Can you squeeze a pair of ponies?
Can I what?
Can you raise 50 pounds?
Certainly, more than 50 pounds.
No, no, don't be rash. That's the worst of you beginners. Only 50 by tomorrow morning.
Most assuredly.
Very well, then. Clap it onto Dandy Dick.
What?
He's a certainty, if those 2 buckets of water haven't put him off it. He's a moral, if he doesn't think of his tail coming down the hill. There's nothing like him at the weight. Keep it dark, Gus. Don't breathe a word to any of your canons or archdeacons, or they'll rush at it and shorten the price for us. Go in, Gus, my boy. Take your poor widowed sister's tip and sleep as peacefully as a blessed baby.
She presses him warmly to her and kisses him. The Dean extricating himself.
Oh, Mrs. Tidman, go to your room.
Augustine.
In the morning I will endeavour to frame some verbal expression of the horror with which I regard your proposal. For the present you are my parent's child, and I trust your bed is well aired.
Oh, very well, Augustine. I've done all I can for the spire. Bonsoir, old boy.
Good night.
If you're wiser in the morning, just send Blore onto the course, and he'll put the money on for you.
Blore? My poor devoted old servant would be lost on a race-course.
Would he? He was quite at home in Tattersall Ring when I was at St. Marvel's last summer.
Blore?
Blore. I recognized the veteran sportsman the moment I came into the deanery.
What was my butler doing at St. Marvel's races?
Blore enters with his lantern.
Investing the savings of your cook and housemaid, of course. You don't think your servants are as narrow as you are.
Oh!
I beg your pardon, sir. Shall I go the rounds, sir?
The Dean gives Blore a fierce look, but Blore beams sweetly.
Blore,
Mum?
breakfast at 9 sharp, and pack a hamper with a cold chicken, some French rolls, and 2 bottles of Heidsieck. Label it George Tidd, and send it on to the hill. I'll stand the racket. Good night.
She goes out. The Dean sinks into a chair and clasps his forehead.
Dear high-spirited lady.
Leaning over the Dean.
Aren't you well, sir?
Serpent!
Meaning me, sir?
Lock up. I'll speak to you in the morning. Lock up.
Blore goes into the library, turns out the lamp there, and disappears.
What dreadful wave threatens to engulf the deanery? What has come to us in a few fatal hours? A horse of sporting tendencies contaminating my stables, its equally vicious owner nestling in the nursery, and my own widowed sister, in all probability smoking a cigarette at her bedroom window with her feet on the window ledge.
Listening?
What's that?
He peers through the window curtains.
I thought I heard footsteps in the garden. I can see nothing, only the old spire standing out against the threatening sky.
Leaving the window shudderingly.
The spire. My principal creditor. My principal creditor, the most conspicuous object in the city.
Blore re-enters with his lantern, carrying some banknotes in his hand. Blore, laying the notes on the table.
I found these, sir, on your dressing table. They're banknotes, sir.
The Dean, taking the notes.
Thank you. I placed them there to be sent to the bank tomorrow.
Counting the notes.
10, 10, 20, 5, 5, 50. £50. The very sum Georgiana urged me to... Oh!
To Blore, waving him away.
Leave me! Go to bed! Go to bed! Go to bed!
Blore is going.
Blore!
Sir?
What made you tempt me with these at such a moment?
Tempt you, sir? The window was open, and I feared they might blow away.
The Dean, catching him by the coat collar.
Man, what were you doing at St. Marvel's races last summer?
Blore, with a cry, falling on his knees.
Oh, sir! Oh, sir! I knew that high-spirited lady would bring grief and sorrow to the peaceful, happy deanery. Oh, sir, I have done a little on my own account from time to time on the ill, also on the commission for the kitchen.
I knew it! I knew it!
Oh, sir, you are a old gentleman. Turn a charitable art to the races. It is a vicious institution which spends more ready money at St. Marvel's than us good people do in a year.
Get up, Blore, get up! Oh, Edward Blore! Edward Blore, what weak creatures we are!
We are, sir, we are. Especially when we've got a tip, sir. Think of the temptation of a tip, sir.
I do, Blore, I do!
I confess everything, sir. Bonnie Betsy's bound for to win the handicap.
No, no, she isn't.
She is, sir.
I know better. She can never get down the hill with those legs of hers.
She can, sir. What's to beat her?
The horse in my stable, Dandy Dick.
Dandy Dick? That old bit of mahogany, sir. They are laying 10-1 against him.
The Dean, with hysterical eagerness.
Are they? I'll take it! I'll take it!
Lord love you, sir. For how much?
50! Here's the money!
Impulsively he crams the notes into Blore's hand, and then recoils in horror.
Oh!
Sinks into a chair with a groan. Blore, in a whisper.
Lord, who'd have thought the Dean was such a ardent sportsman at heart? He doesn't give me my notice after this.
To the Dean.
Of course, it's understood, sir, that we keep our little weaknesses dark. Outwardly, sir, we remain respectable, and I hope respected.
putting the notes into his pocket.
I wish you good night, sir.
He walks to the door. The Dean makes an effort to recall him, but fails.
And that old man has been my pattern and example for years and years. Oh, Edward Blore, your hideout was shattered.
Turning to the Dean.
Good night, sir. May your dreams be calm and happy, and may you have a good run for your money.
Blore goes out. The Dean gradually recovers his self-possession.
I am upset tonight, Blore. Of course, you leave this day month.
Looking round.
Blore, he's gone. If I don't call him back, the spire may be richer tomorrow by £500. I won't dwell on it. I'll read.
Snatches a book at haphazard from the bookshelf. There is the sound of falling rain and distant thunder.
Rain. Thunder. How it assimilates with the tempest of my mind. I'll read. Bless me. This is very strange.
Reading.
The Horse and Its Ailments by John Cox, M.R.C.V.S. It was with the aid of this volume that I used to doctor my poor old mare at Oxford. A leaf turned down.
Reading.
Simple remedies for chills. The bolus. The helpless beast in my stable is suffering from a chill. Good gracious! If I allow Blore to risk my £50 on Dandy Dick, surely it would be advisable to administer this bolus to the poor animal without delay.
Referring to the book hastily.
I have these drugs in my chest. There's not a moment to be lost.
Going to the bell and ringing.
I shall want help. I'll fetch my medicine chest.
He lays the book upon the table and goes into the library. Blore enters. Blore, looking round.
Where is he? The bell rang. The Dean's puzzling me with his uncommon behaviour, that he is.
The Dean comes from the library, carrying a large medicine chest. On encountering Blore, he starts and turns away his head, the picture of guilt.
Blore, I feel it would be a humane act to administer to the poor ignorant animal in my stable a simple bolus as a precaution against chill. I rely upon your aid and discretion in administering to any guest in the deanery.
Blore, in a whisper.
I see, sir. You ain't going to lose half a chance for tomorrow, sir. You're a knowing one, sir, as the saying goes.
The Dean, shrinking from Blore with a groan.
Oh!
He places the medicine chest on the table and takes up the book. Handing the book to Blore with his finger on a page.
Fetch these humble but necessary articles from the kitchen, quick. I'll mix the bolus here.
Blore goes out quickly.
It is exactly 27 years since I last approached a horse medically.
He takes off his coat and lays it on a chair, then rolls his shirt sleeves up above his elbows and puts on his glasses.
I trust this bolus will not give the animal an unfair advantage over his competitors. I don't desire that.
Blore re-enters, carrying a tray, on which are a small flour barrel and rolling pin, a white china basin, a carafe of water, a napkin, and the book. The Dean recoils, then guiltily takes the tray from Blore and puts it on the table.
Thank you.
Blore, holding on to the window curtain and watching the Dean.
His eyes is awful. I don't seem to know of a happy deanery when I see such proceedings a going on at the dead of night.
There is a heavy roll of thunder. The Dean mixes a pudding and stirs it with the rolling pin.
The old, half-forgotten time returns to me. I am once again a promising youth at college.
Blore, to himself.
One would think by his looks that he was going to poison his family instead of poison. Poison? Oh, if anything serious happened to the animal in our stable, there would be nothing in the way of bonny Betsy, the deserving horse I've trusted with my hard-earned savings.
I am walking once again in the old streets of Oxford, avoiding the shops where I owe my youthful bills. Bills!
He pounds away vigorously with the rolling pin. Blore, to himself.
Where's the stuff I got a month ago to destroy the whole black retriever that fell ill?
Bills!
The dog died. The poison's in my pantry. It couldn't have got used for cooking purposes.
I see the broad meadows and the tall spire of the college. The spire. Oh, my whole life seems made up of bills and spires.
Blore, to himself.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Unseen by the Dean, he quickly and quietly steals out by the door.
Where are the drugs? The drugs!
Opening the medicine chest and bending down over the bottles, he pours some drops from a bottle into the basin, counting
3, 4, 5, 6.
He replaces the bottle and takes another,
How fortunate some animals are!
counting
1, 2, 3, 4. It's done.
Taking up the medicine chest, he goes with it into the library. As he disappears, Blore re-enters stealthily, fingering a small paper packet. Blore, in a whisper.
Strychnine.
There is a heavy roll of thunder. Blore darts to the table, empties the contents of the packet into the basin, and stirs vigorously with the rolling pin.
I've cooked Dandy Dick. I've cooked Dandy Dick.
He moves from the table in horror.
Oh, I'm only an amateur sportsman, and I can't afford uncertainty.
As the Dean returns, Blore starts up guiltily.
Can I help you any more, sir?
No, remove these dreadful things, and don't let me see you again tonight.
Sits with the basin on his knees and proceeds to roll the paste. Blore, removing the tray.
It's only an horse. It's only an horse. But after tomorrow I'll retire from the turf, if only to reclaim him.
He goes out, the Dean putting on his coat.
I don't contemplate my humane task with resignation. The stable is small, and if the animal is restive, we shall be cramped for room.
The rain is heard.
I shall get a chill too.
Seeing Sir Tristram's coat and cap lying upon the settee,
I am sure Marden will lend me this gladly.
Putting on the coat, which completely envelops him.
The animal may recognize the garment, and receive me with kindly feelings.
Putting on the sealskin cap, which almost conceals his face.
Ugh, why do I feel this dreadful sinking at the heart?
Taking the basin and turning out the lamp.
Oh, if all followers of the veterinary science are as truly wretched as I am, what a noble band they must be!
The thunder rolls as he goes through the window curtains. Sir Tristram then enters quietly, smoking, and carrying a lighted candle.
All right. Fire still burning?
Blowing out the candle.
I shall doze here till daybreak. What a night! I never thought there was so much thunder in these small country places.
Georgiana, looking pale and agitated, and wearing a dressing gown, enters quickly, carrying an umbrella and a lighted candle.
Which is the nearer way to the stable? I must satisfy myself. I must.
Going to the door. Sir Tristram, rising suddenly.
Hello? Hush!
Georgiana, holding out her umbrella.
Stand where you are, or I'll fire.
Recognizing Sir Tristram.
Tris.
Why, George!
Oh, Tris, I've been dreaming.
Falling helplessly against Sir Tristram, who deposits her in a chair.
Oh, don't look at me. I'm overtrained. I shall be on my legs again in a minute.
She opens her umbrella and hides herself behind it, sobbing violently. Sir Tristram, standing over the umbrella in great concern.
My goodness! George, whatever shall I do? Shall I trot you up and down outside?
Be quiet. What are you fooling about here for? Why can't you lie quietly in your cot?
Confound that cot! Why, it wouldn't hold my photograph. Where are you going?
Into the stable, to sit with Dandy. The thunder's awful in my room. When it gets tired, it seems to sit down on my particular bit of roof. I did doze once, and then I had a frightful dream. I dreamt that Dandy had sold himself to a circus, and that they were hooting him because he had lost his tail. There's an omen.
Don't. Be a man, George, be a man.
Georgiana, shutting her umbrella.
I know, I'm dreadfully effeminate. There. Tid's himself again.
Bravo!
Ah, Tris, don't think me soft, old man. I'm a lonely, unlucky woman, and the tail end of this horse is all that's left me in the world to love and to cling to.
No, by Jove, I'm not such a mean cur as that. Swap halves and take his head, George, my boy.
Oh, not I. I'm like a doting mother to my share of dandy, and it's all the dearer because it's an invalid. I'm off.
Come along.
Turning towards the window, she following him, he suddenly stops and looks at her and seizes her hand.
George, I never guessed that you were so tender-hearted.
Well, I'm not.
And you've robbed me tonight of an old friend, a pal.
What do you mean?
I mean that I seem to have dropped the acquaintance of George Tidd Esquire forever.
Tris, no.
I have, but I've got an introduction to his twin sister Georgiana.
Georgiana, snatching her hand away angrily.
Stay where you are. I'll nurse my half alone.
She goes towards the window, then starts back.
Hush!
What's the matter?
Didn't you hear something?
Where?
Georgiana, pointing to the window.
There.
Sir Tristram, peeping through the curtains.
You're right. Some people moving about the garden.
Tris, the horse.
They're not near the stables. They're coming in here. Hush! We'll clear out and watch.
Sir Tristram takes the candlestick, and they go out, leaving the room in darkness. The curtains at the window are pushed aside, and Salome and Sheba enter, both in their fancy dresses. Salome, in a rage, lighting the candles on the mantelpiece.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh! No ball after all.
If we only had a brother to avenge us!
I shall try and borrow a brother tomorrow.
Cold, wretched, splashed, in debt, for nothing!
To think that we've had all the inconvenience of being wicked and rebellious and have only half done it.
This comes of stooping to the military.
It serves us right. We've been trained for clergymen's wives. I hate Nugent Darby. I hope he may grow bald early.
General Tarver's nose is inclined to pink. May it deepen and deepen till it frightens cows.
Voices are heard from the curtained window recess. Darby, outside.
Miss Jed! Sheba!
Tarver, outside.
Pray hear to wretched men, Miss Jed.
Salome, in a whisper.
There they are.
Shall we grant them a dignified interview?
Yes. Curl your lip, Sheba.
You curl your lip better than I. I'll dilate my nostrils.
Salome draws aside the curtain. Tarver and Darby enter. They are both very badly and shabbily dressed as cavaliers. Tarver, a most miserable object, carrying a carriage umbrella.
Oh, don't reproach us, Miss Jed. It isn't our fault that the military were summoned to St. Marvel's.
You don't blame officers and gentlemen for responding to the sacred call of duty.
We blame officers for subjecting 2 motherless girls to the shock of alighting at the Durnstone Athenaeum to find a notice on the front door. Ball knocked on the head. Vivat Regina.
We blame gentlemen for inflicting upon us the unspeakable agony of being jeered at by boys.
I took the address of the boy who suggested that we should call again on the 5th of November. It's on the back of your admission card.
Everything will be done. We shall both wait on the boy's mother for an explanation.
Oh, smile on us once again, Miss Jed. A forced hollow smile, if you will. Only smile, Salome.
Georgiana enters.
Salome! Sheba!
Aunt!
You bad girls.
Salome, weeping.
No, Aunt, no!
Not bad, Aunt. Trustful and confiding.
Georgiana, advancing to Tarver.
How dare you encourage these 2 simple children to enjoy themselves? How dare you take them out without their aunt? Do you think I can't keep a thing quiet?
They didn't even ask Papa's permission.
Poor Papa.
Poor dear Papa.
Georgiana, shaking Tarver.
I'm speaking to you, Field Marshal.
Madam, you are addressing an invalid.
We shall be happy to receive your representative in the morning. At present, we are on duty.
On heavy duty.
Guarding the ruins of the Swan Inn. You mustn't distract our attention.
Guarding the ruins of the Swan, are you?
Calling.
Tris! Sir Tristram!
Sir Tristram appears.
Tris, I'm a feeble woman, but I hope I have a keen sense of right and wrong. Run these outsiders into the road, and let them guard their own ruins.
Salome and Sheba shriek, and throw themselves at the feet of Tarver and Darby, clinging to their legs.
Ah! No, no, spare him!
You shall not harm a hair of their heads.
Sir Tristram twists Tarver's wig round, so that it covers his face. The gate bell is heard ringing violently.
What's that? It will wake Papa.
Stop the bell.
Georgiana runs to the door and opens it. Salome to Tarver and Darby.
Fly!
Tarver and Darby disappear through the curtains at the window. Sheba falling into Salome's arms.
We have saved them.
Oh, Tris, your man from the stable.
Hatcham!
Georgiana calling.
Hatcham!
Hatcham, carrying the basin with the bolus, runs in breathlessly, followed by Blore.
Oh, Sir Tristram.
What is it?
The villain that set fire to the Swan, sir, in the act of administering a dose to the oars.
Ah, nobbling our dandy.
Where is the scoundrel?
Topping, the constable's collared him, sir. He's taken him in a cart to the lockup.
Oh!
Blore in agony.
They've got the Dean.
End of the second act.